Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Dear students, the current session is again on reading skills. Actually, this is part 2 of the session on development of reading skill. Before we move forward with the contents of the current session, I would like to present a review of the previous lesson. Previous lesson was on reading skill. That was part 1 of the lesson that I presented in the previous session. In that session we studied what is reading. I tried to define reading and tried to relate it to the real life context in which most of us read. Importance of reading in the modern world was also established. Then I presented a list of those common things that we read in our daily life. I also encouraged you to generate your own list of things that you read in your daily life. I'm sure some of the items in the lists that you would have generated at your own places would be similar because of the reality that all of you are the students of a particular subject, the students at a particular level, that is higher education level, because all of you are living in the same context of the country, in the same socio-cultural and linguistic context. However, I'm also sure that there would be certain items in your lists that would vary from others because of the individual realities of your lives, because of the individual contexts in which you live and the backgrounds in which you operate. In that session, I also provided you reasons for reading, or the purposes for which different readers read different materials. With the help of examples from real life situations, I tried to establish varied needs of readers. The point of discussion was that different readers in their individual contexts and in the broader socio-cultural, linguistic or pragmatic contexts in which they live and operate, they have different types of needs for different types of reading in different situations and in different activities. Then with the help of a diagram, I explained to you the reading process. I gave you details of how different mental processes take place during the process of reading. If you can recall, actually I showed you a diagram that was mainly divided into two parts. The lower part dealt with the lower level processes, whereas the upper half of the diagram showed you the higher levels of processes that take place during the reading process or during a reading activity. Starting right from understanding single letters to moving onwards how we understand words, gradually seeing how we understand words in contexts, that is how in the syntactic contexts of sentences, in the structures of sentences, how they are fitted and what do they mean in those contexts. All these processes take place at the lower levels of processing in any reading activity. At the upper or the higher level of reading processing, actually the reader tries to utilize all this background processing or the initial processing to draw meanings from the text. In order to draw meanings from the totality of the text, from the whole text, the reader uses background knowledge, the socio-cultural context, problem-solving activities, strategies that are used for reading, etc., to derive meaning or to deduce meaning out of the text that he or she reads. I also shared that it is a two-way process where all these things such as the background knowledge, the contextual information or the sub-skills or the strategies that a learner or a reader has, they work in a two-way process with the meaning making process of the text that is read by somebody. Finally, in the previous session, I introduced you to various reading sub-skills, and I talked about how these sub-skills can be inculcated in a reader as habits. Once they become habits, they help a reader to read in an efficient and effective manner. Dear students, in the previous session, this was a slide that I shared with you about important reading sub-skills and habits. At the outset of that session, I told you that the upper half, that is rather the first 5 sub-skills that are mentioned here in blue color, they were discussed in the previous session. The rest of the habits that are to be inculcated, or the reading sub-skills that are helpful in efficient and effective reading, I will present those in today's session. Thus, in today's session, there would be from point 6 to point 14 the sub-skills that are shown on the slide. These would be discussed one by one. I would give examples of each. I would define what do I mean by each of these. In cases of some of these, I would offer some activities as well, so that you could have some idea of how they can be applied in real life. I would also use some figures or some pictures to show you certain aspects of a few of these sub-skills. The sub-skills that I'm going to share with you in this session are recognition of punctuation, skimming, scanning, efficient use of memory, eye span, avoidance of regressions, avoidance of finger pointing, and also avoidance of subvocalization, reviewing, and critical reading. I think it would not be out of context to remind you that the 5 sub-skills that I've shown here in red color, these are the sub-skills that I would deal with in detail by allocating a separate session to each of these, because they are very much relevant to academic reading and the context in which you are going to read. So I would not go into much detail of these reading sub-skills here in current session. However, I would introduce these sub-skills. I would briefly explain what each of these means, so that you have some basic idea of what does each of these sub-skill mean and what does it deal with. With this, I bring you to the 6th sub-skill that was on the list, that is recognition of punctuation. Dear students, later on you are going to do a complete session or 2 on punctuation, where I would explain different rules of punctuation to you, where I would share with you how commas, semicolons, and full stops are used, how dashes or brackets or hyphens or ellipses are added in a text in order to give it more sense and to make it more clear to the reader. Here at this point, when we are discussing reading sub-skills, I would only like to say that exclamation points, periods that are full stops, colons, semicolons, dashes, commas, and brackets, all the punctuation marks regulate the speed of reading. And an efficient reader is always conscious of punctuation as an aid while reading a printed page. You see, when we speak, we can give pauses, as right now I'm speaking. After pointing out something specific, I give a pause and then I move on to the next point. After that, I discuss it in detail and then I move on to the other point. Well, while I was uttering the last 2-3 sentences, my dear students, you would have noticed that I used pauses and stress-unstress patterns of my tone to convey you where to stop, where to take a pause. However, when it comes to writing, a writer does not have the liberty to create those pauses in any other way but by using punctuation. Thus, punctuation is not only an aid to the writer to convey where a pause is to be given, where the writer wants the readers to slow down, to take a turn, to look back, to look further at the explanation, etc. But also these punctuation marks are a very efficient set of rules and guide for the reader. With the help of punctuation marks, the reader is enabled to understand what exactly the author means. And punctuation also, not only it helps in understanding the meaning, or not only it adds to the clarity of the meaning of the text, but also it adds to the speed of reading, because it regulates your speed of reading and it enables you take pauses at the right places. The next sub-skill that I want to introduce is skimming. Skimming is also a very useful sub-skill, and if you develop skimming, a habit of skimming, actually it is a tool that enables you to read very efficiently. An efficient reader can use skimming as a means of shifting out that to which he needs to give only cursory attention, and that which he may wish to consider at greater length and with more care. So basically, skimming enables you, number one, to save time, because you only focus on the main ideas. Number two, it enables you to see what the text basically is about. And if you use skimming before you select a text for reading, in that case skimming also helps you. It enables you to select appropriate texts for reading. I would give you the example of going to a library. When you go to a library and you want to select a few books for yourself, there actually you use three skills or sub-skills of reading to make your choices for appropriate set of books that you get issued for yourself. Skimming is the skill that you apply there when you quickly look through the pages of the chapters or the text of the book, where you read from certain places in the book and you try to relate it to your needs, which helps you make decisions whether you need that particular book, that particular reading material or not. Dear students, I would say that contrary to the popular notion, skimming is not just glancing down the page. It is not just having a cursory look at the page. Instead, it is a well-defined reading skill. Skimming is a highly selective process of looking at a page so that the reader is able to survey and inspect the topographical features. A trained reader always skims to a slight degree by practically ignoring unimportant linking words, words like the, for, with, to, on, it, etc. So I am relating it here to telegraphic reading as well. However, there are other degrees of skimming as well. The other degrees of skimming, that is partial and complete skimming, they are used if the material lends itself to such skimming, which means the partial or complete skimming sub-skills are not used every time, but if the materials, the reading materials demand so, or if the purpose or the context in which something is to be read asks for it, then it is to be used. In complete skimming, the reader is concerned only with the main idea, while in partial skimming, he picks up the significant relative details only. I would repeat that when it comes to complete skimming, actually the reader is only concerned with the basic idea, the overall main idea that is given. Now compare it with partial skimming. In partial skimming, that is not complete skimming, the reader picks up the significant relative details also. The details that are related to his or her needs, the details that he or she needs in that particular context of reading. Well, before explaining what is written on this slide, my dear students, I would like you to think for a while about your life context. I'm sure many of you would be living in villages, and I'm also sure that those of you who are not living in villages or do not have the experience of living in villages, they would have the experience of visiting villages in Pakistan at least. A very common practice in our villages is of skimming milk. वो जो दूध को बलो के, दही को बलो के उसमें से मक्खन निकालते हैं, that is called skimming. तो basically what you do in that process is कि आप दही में से cream या मक्खन, that is the best part of it, वो आप उसमें से निकाल लेते हैं. And if you look at that process how it is done, तो उसको इतना ज़्यादा शेक किया जाता है कि the cream comes at the top. और वो सारी क्रीम जो दूध में या वो जो दही होता है उसमें मिक्स होती है, इट कम्स एट द टॉप, वो उससे अलग हो जाती है और ऊपर आ जाती है. सो इट बिकम्स वेरी इजी टू कलेक्ट इट फ्रॉम द टॉप. सो दैट इज व्हाट इज कॉल्ड स्किमिंग. आई होप यू वुड बी फेमिलियर विद द टर्म स्किम्ड मिल्क. आजकल तो बहुत ज़्यादा फैशन हो गया ना उसका. सो this word skimming is also used in the context of reading skills. Skimming is also the term that is used for a sub-skill of reading, and actually in this context I would say to skim milk you take the cream, the richest part, off the top of the bottle. To skim reading material you extract the important parts, the main points where you find them, which is not necessarily at the top. तो डिफरेंस ये होता है कि जो the best part, the richest part, जो cream of the crux of the reading material है, you look for that in skimming. हाँ, इस केस में ये है कि it is not necessary that it would be on the top. You might have to go deep into it to find that when it comes to the exploration of a text with the help of skimming. Well, with this I move on to the next sub-skill of reading, that is scanning. Scanning means finding facts quickly or looking very quickly over a piece of reading matter to find the answer to a specific question. So, scanning is used to find a name, a date, some statistical information or other fact. I would take you back to the example of going to a library to find some books that you want to get issued for yourself. As I said earlier, that there are a couple of sub-skills that you can apply in order to find suitable or appropriate materials that you can get issued for yourself. Well, scanning is one of those sub-skills. Scanning helps you when you look at the when you are looking for a particular kind of a book with a particular kind of information. Actually you scan a book to see whether that particular information is given in that book or not. So be it about a particular event, a particular date, some particular statistical information, a set of peculiar facts that you are looking for, you scan the book, which means you try to identify where they are located in the book if they are there. So if you find them, you get the book issued for yourself. This is how scanning comes to help you. While scanning, an efficient reader lets his eyes run rapidly over several lines of print at a time and keeps in his or her mind only the item he or she is looking for while neglecting all other facts or details. तो बेसिकली एज वी रीड हम एक लाइन को देख रहे होते हैं, बट व्हेन यू आर स्किमिंग, basically since you are looking for something very particular, something very peculiar, something very very specific, so what you do is you cast a glance at more than one lines at a time. आप एक ही वक्त में 3, 4, 5 as many as you can lines को देख रहे होते हैं, and you try to see whether the relevant information, whether the relevant point or thing that you are looking for is given there or not. And in this process actually the reader ignores, the reader does not pay any attention to, neglects all the other facts or details. At this point I would like to ask you, what is the use of scanning in your life otherwise? जैसे मैंने एक एग्जांपल दी लाइब्रेरी की, इसके अलावा can you think of the use of scanning in your academic lives? Well, I hope you would have been able to think of a few examples of scanning, how you use it in your daily life or how you can use it in your everyday academic activities. With this, I bring you to the next point, that is efficient use of memory. Dear students, memory is not some gift of fortune. Rather, it is a skill that can be developed like reading itself. So those people who feel that much of that they read flies away as soon as their eyes leave the print actually do not know the art of using memory. अच्छा, कितने लोगों को उनकी अम्मियाँ बादाम खिलाती हैं? Well, हमारे यहाँ तो ये समझा जाता है ना कि अच्छा बच्चे का दिमाग कमज़ोर है, याद नहीं रहता उसको. But the point that I want to establish is that it has nothing to do with कि अम्मियाँ कितने बादाम खिलाती हैं या how strong आपकी याददाश्त जो है वो है. Otherwise, actually memorizing or retaining the memory of what you have read is not a matter of being gifted by God. Rather, it is more a matter of skill. And when I say it is a skill, it means it can be learnt. It can be learnt with practice. So memory can be improved with the help of some practice. I would say remembering is a discriminative process based upon an evaluation of what is most worthwhile. अच्छा, एक छोटे से बॉक्स में ढेरों ढेर चीज़ें डालना चाहें तो you can't do that. तो अब अपने दिमाग में एक उसकी limited space में if you want to insert everything, then of course you would forget. It would not be fit into, it would not be placed appropriately there. Even if it would be there, you would not be able to sort it out and find it out when you need that. So memory, use of memory as a skill or sub-skill in reading is very, very important. It is a discriminative process based upon an evaluation of what is most worthwhile. So you select only those parts that you think are important. आप वो चीज़ें याद रखने की कोशिश करते हैं जिनके बारे में आप समझते हैं कि they are important for you. So instead of trying to digest and memorize all the material, a reader should develop the habit of picking up important facts and keywords that are to be remembered. You cannot remember everything that you read. You have to be selective in that. The more careful selection that you make, the more efficient selection that you make of what you want to retain, that you want to remember, the better your memory works. So it's a matter of practice. अच्छा, हमारे कॉन्टेक्स्ट में तो अगर आप देखें तो जनरली कहा जाता है ना कि वो लोग जो हाफिज़ कुरान होते हैं, they have a better memory. So it also proves my point that because they try to remember, they try to memorize a lot, that is why their memory works more efficiently and they're able to retain more, and they find it easier as well. So the more you practice, the more you would be able to use your memory in an efficient and effective way. A very interesting habit that I would like to point out, that I would say can be called a sub-skill as an expansion of your eye span. This is what I'm going to share here. To be a good reader, one must develop the habit of controlling his or her eye movement as well as broaden the eye span. So broadening the eye span is or expanding the eye span is a sub skill, and if you develop the habit of controlling your eye movements, it becomes more efficient reading when you deal with reading materials. Contrary to the common notion that while reading, eyes glide smoothly over each line, they travel in little skips and jumps. A dot, a pause, a dot, a pause, as shown in the following diagram. अच्छा, आपके लिए शायद ये नई बात हो, maybe it would be slightly new for you to see कि हमारी आँख पेज के ऊपर किस तरह से move करती है. This picture that I have given here, it shows the movement of eye on the page as generally it does. हम वो जो कहते हैं ना कि glidely, smoothly the eye moves, it glides over the page, और हम यूं smooth पढ़ते जाते हैं, ऐसा नहीं होता. हमारी आँख जो है biologically अल्लाह ताला ने इसको बनाया ही यूं है कि ये it catches and it captures things in pieces and chunks. एक छोटा सा पार्ट, फिर अगला, और वो जब सारे यूं जुड़ते हैं तो we have the whole sentence or the whole paragraph. If you look at this picture, what you would notice is that I have used certain dashes. जो ये जो dashes हैं, ये words को show कर रही हैं. So if this is the page as is shown on the screen in the diagram, तो उसके ऊपर different words हैं. Right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 words we have in this particular figure that I have shared. And what you can see is that the eye jumps from ये जो ऊपर curved सी shapes बनेंगी ना जिसके साथ fixations लिखा हुआ है, these fixations show the jump or the skip from one word to the other. तो आप देखेंगे कि छोटे छोटे से एक वी से ये जो shapes हैं ना, ये fixations को show करती हैं. और if you look at the third fixation, you would see उसकी चौड़ाई भी जो है ना वो एक ऊपर उसके एक त्रिकोण सी बना के it is shown to facilitate you understand what does it mean. अब you can notice that the eye moves from or it jumps from, it hovers from one word to the other. तो अब इसका मतलब है कि if there are 8 words तो फिर वो उतनी दफ़ा jump करेगी, 7 से 8 दफ़ा it would have to move, it would have to jump, which means it would take more time, which would mean कि हर दफ़ा आप at a time आप बहुत थोड़ी सी एक चीज़ जो है वो देख रहे हैं. Let me share the next slide with you. These pauses or fixations take up most of the time while reading. तो actually word को पढ़ने में जितना time लगता है उतना ही time शायद in pauses में भी लगता है या fixations में भी लगता है. And each pause may last from 1/5 to 1.5 seconds. Improvement in reading speed is possible by spending less time on each fixation and by lessening the number of pauses while reading the line of print. तो इसका मतलब है कि अगर फॉर एग्जाम्पल हम अपना वी ट्राई टू ब्रॉडन आवर आई स्पैन एंड वी डेवलप द हैबिट ऑफ कैप्चरिंग एज मैनी वर्ड्स एज वी कैन इन वन गो, तो दो वर्ड्स के सेट में कर लें या कोई 2 और कोई 3 जहाँ द शॉर्टर वर्ड्स आर देयर विद लेस सिलेबल्स, तो क्या होगा कि हमें 3 या 4 दफ़ा आई वुड हैव टू ग्लाइड ओवर द लाइन और it would be time saving. We would be able to catch what is printed on the page or what is written on the page in a far lesser time. Dear students, in fact as children many of us learn to read word by word. So this habit of childhood, we carry it forward in our lives, in our adult lives, and though it is possible that by practice the eye can scoop up a whole group of words at a time and then leap to the next group of words, thus reading time is cut to a friction and fatigue is lessened. Automatically आपकी reading speed बढ़ जाती है, you become more efficient and more speedy reader. Because the reality is that many of you as students would find reading very tough. As I said at the closing of the previous session that sometimes students find reading very laborious. So actually I would reiterate it here that efficient habits, if they are developed by the readers, it becomes easy for them to read. At this point, I would like to establish that in our context, when it comes to reading English as a foreign language or as an international language, the task becomes even more laborious or tiresome for the readers or for the students. So a conscious effort to develop these habits enables them to read more efficiently, and it costs, of course, much effort. And it costs, of course, far less effort as compared to when you're not conscious of the use of these sub-skills, or when you do not develop them as habits. I hope you remember the previous diagram of eye span. Here I am sharing with you a diagram of an efficient reader's eye movements. Look at this, how the eye jumps from one word to the other. Look at the small dashes at the very bottom of the figure. We have more than 8 words in this case. हमारे पास almost double than 8, 12-15 शायद words हैं हमारे पास. But you look at the small curves that are shown at the top of these small dashes representing words. We, in 6 jumps, actually the eye covers all those words. So in each go, on an average 3 words are covered. So you can notice the fixations कि कहाँ से कहाँ तक एक दफ़ा में jump करके कितने words, कभी 3 कभी 4 they are captured. Groups or of words or sets of words are covered with this broader eye span, which results in speedy reading. My dear students, the next sub-skill that I would like to share is the avoidance of regressions. Actually, one of the commonest faults of all but the most capable readers is that of frequent and conclusive regressions that are made by them. What is a regression? The problem of regression is related to the eye movement also. While reading, inefficient readers habitually they keep on skipping back to the previously read words and phrases. So it is like if you are reading a sentence with 8 words, as your eye moves to word 2, still your eye tries to go back to word 1. When it is looking at word 4, it goes back to word 3 again. So this backward movement even adds to the time that is consumed in reading, and the speed of reading is affected. Not only the speed of reading is affected, but also the efficiency of speeding is affected by that. I am sharing here something that Owen Webster observed in Read Well and Remember, that to go back a few paragraphs deliberately to compare or to check something which has been misunderstood is not a fault. Fault lies in the uncontrolled, habitual, unconscious backward movements of the eye. So the point that I want to establish here is that if you have read something, if you have, for example, reached word 7 and you think that you could not understand word 4 or 5, or that whatever you understood at that point about that word does not fit into the context now, so you may go back to that word or that phrase, or as a matter of fact to that sentence that you have previously read, to read it again so that you have some clarity on your part and the misunderstanding about the meaning of that word or phrase or sentence is removed. This would not be considered as a fault. This rather helps. However, fault lies in the uncontrolled, habitual, unconscious backward movement of the eye. जहाँ पर you don't want to do this, लेकिन automatically आपकी नज़र फिर वापस पीछे जाती है. Your eye goes back to look at the words. This backward movement is a kind of a hindrance in your forward movement to read speedily and efficiently. Here I am going to share a diagram or a picture with you where the difference between the eye movement of a normal reader and a poor reader are shown. अच्छा, आपको याद होगा ना, अभी मैंने आपको दिखाया था एक नॉर्मल एवरेज रीडर की मूवमेंट ऑफ आई विद द फिक्सेशंस, और फिर आई शो टू यू एक एफिशिएंट रीडर की, गुड रीडर्स मूवमेंट ऑफ आईज विद अ ब्रॉडर स्पैन. अब ये जो ये ऊपर वाला द टॉप part of the picture or the diagram shows the movements of a normal reader's eye, how it moves with small chunks ahead. But at the bottom of the same, a poor reader's eye movements are shown, and you can notice that as the eye jumps from word 1, ये जो words हैं वो dashes से show किए हुए हैं और उसके ऊपर फिर ये movement है. The eye jumps, the eye of a poor reader, of course, when it jumps from one word to 2 and then from word 2 to 3, तो वो फिर from word 3 it goes back, जो आपको एक नज़र आएगा कि backward एक जो है ना arrow sort of shape के साथ वो पीछे को गया हुआ है. This shows backward skipping or regressions. If you look carefully at the diagram, you would notice that it is labeled as well to show you which sign or which construction of that is used in the picture means what. So I hope you would be clear about the regressions that are made by poor readers with reference to their eye movement on the text. If you are conscious of that, and if you try to control that, and if you try to move forward with your eye focused forward, it becomes a habit gradually. The more you practice it, the more you become efficient and speedy reader. So here is the next sub skill that I would share with you. This is the avoidance of finger pointing and subvocalization. I hope you understand what I mean by avoidance of finger pointing. Planting finger firmly under the words in childhood later on turns into a habit. This becomes a bad habit. कि पढ़ते हुए आप हर word के नीचे अपनी उंगली रखते हैं. You would have seen a lot of people even reading newspapers as adults. When they read newspapers, they would be moving their finger under the words. उससे क्या होता है, your speed decreases and the efficiency of your reading is affected. Actually, the reader feels that his or her finger serves as a pointer to guide his eyes to the printed page. So this is also a hindrance you see in the training of the eye to move onwards on the page. This bad habit can be cured by awareness and conscious effort. So you need to make conscious effort कि आप हर दफ़ा चीज़ को उसके ऊपर उंगली से point out करके ना पढ़ें. I think हमारे स्कूलों में जब पढ़ाया जाता है वहाँ पर we are told कि लफ्ज़ के नीचे उंगली रखो और we move finger with the words as we go on with our reading. That habit is carried with us in our adulthood as well, and we remain the victims, I would say, of this bad habit. It is to be taken care of because it reduces the speed of reading. It also affects the efficient independent movement of your eye on the text, and of course it looks bad in many contexts as well. Well, as far as subvocalization is concerned, vocalization means when you are reading something, you give it voice. आप ऊंची आवाज़ में बोल के लफ्ज़ों को पढ़ते हैं. And then there is the term subvocalization. When you do not utter words properly, पूरा नहीं बोलते, लेकिन it's kind of speaking or uttering them. It's a semi speaking, semi loud speaking, I would say, of the words. This subvocalization is a major problem in reading, in efficient reading, and the tendency of a reader to mouth words is called subvocalization. आपने देखा होगा बहुत सारे लोग, कभी आप बस में सफ़र कर रहे हो, you would find somebody sitting by your side, और एक बड़े अच्छे से डिसेंट से अंकल होंगे और वो अपनी अखबार एक निकालेंगे और उसको पढ़ना शुरू करेंगे. बट द मोमेंट यू वुड स्टार्ट रीडिंग द न्यूज़पेपर, यू वुड बी इरिटेटेड फॉर द सिंपल रीज़न कि वो पढ़ते हुए वो एक सब वोकलाइज्ड उसके साथ उसको पढ़ेंगे, काइंड ऑफ साउंड्स फ्रॉम द throat would be produced. Sometimes the words would be half uttered, some words would not be uttered, but this would be this tendency to voice, to mouth words is called subvocalization. I think it is a product of the way in which children are brought up to read, usually by the phonetic method or the look and say method in our classrooms. I hope you would also agree that in our traditional Pakistani early school or primary level classrooms, most of the times the teachers want the students to read aloud. So this reading aloud is one of the causes. This habit of reading loud is one of the causes of this habit as well. Also, sometimes when the teachers give some task of reading to the students, they ask them to read independently, but if a student is not subvocalizing the words, the teacher would assume that the student is not reading. So to ensure the teacher who is present around moving in the class, the students subvocalize as they read. This tendency is found in the recitation of Holy Quran as well, especially when it is taught by Qaris or Maulvi Sahibs at madrasas. They encourage this vocalization, which in fact then is inculcated in the children as a habit, and as adults they carry it. According to Bazanti, generally subvocalization should be avoided. However, it can be utilized sometimes to aid the memory to remember important facts or words. So in general, subvocalization is a bad habit that is to be removed, and avoidance of subvocalization is good. However, it can be used as a strategy to strengthen, to help, or to improve your memory regarding certain materials that you want to remember. Reviewing. Dear students, by reviewing, what I mean is that reviewing or summing up the facts and thoughts at the end of reading a printed material is another good habit that helps a reader in further reading, because when you are finished with one part of your reading, be it one lesson, one chapter, one particular text in a bigger collection of texts, before you move on to the next part of reading, next chapter or next lesson, if you sum up or if you review the facts and the thoughts or the main ideas that are presented in that particular chapter or in that particular section, this review helps you take this information forward, to carry this information forward to the further reading that you are supposed to do, to the next chapter or the next section that you want to read. Reviewing also improves remembering when you have read. And when you have read something, what you have read is ensured with the help of you see reviewing that. अगर आप एक दफ़ा उसको पीछे से एक दफ़ा देख लेते हैं, recapture कर लेते हैं कि क्या क्या पढ़ा था, it helps you retain that. Because if you can recall, I said that using efficiently your memory for reading involves trying to remember only important things. So in that way, reviewing and efficient use of memory are very much linked. Here I would also like to ask you, how far do you find it relevant to your academic reading? By the way, I sum up for you the main points at the end of each session. I would like you to take a couple of minutes to think about your processes of, or your practices of reviewing. How do you do, whether you do it or not, and if you do it, how do you do it when you read a certain part of a text. With this, I bring you forward to the next point, that is about critical reading. About critical reading, what I would say is, all the training in reading that schools and colleges offer and all the practice in various reading skills have one basic purpose. And what is that purpose? To prepare the reader for critical reading, the ability to read with analysis judgment. Well, this is what ideally all schools and colleges aim at. However, I would say unfortunately in the Pakistani context, the practices at schools and even at college level show that we do not inculcate the critical reading ability in our students. This lack of critical reading ability, of course, has an effect on their ability to understand the texts in the contexts where they are to be interpreted, and the backgrounds, the socio-cultural backgrounds in which they are to be given meaning. हमारे यहाँ तो ये होता है ना कि हर चीज़ को हम बस रट्टा लगा के और हम उसको करते हैं. Think of your experience of matriculation or of FA level studies. Texts के साथ क्या किया जाता था? You would be given a text and then most of the times your memory would be tested on that. फलां पैराग्राफ में क्या कहा था, कितने लोग फलां जगह गए थे, what happened, how many people participated in something, kind of questions that are more memory testing kind of things, instead of taking your critical comments on what you have read. When I say critical reading, actually what I mean by that is the ability of the reader to look at the text, to recognize it, to understand and absorb it, and then to respond to it. To respond to it by giving it meanings in his or her own context. By critically looking at, if the writer says this, what does it mean in the context where I am reading that? If the writer says that, how does it imply to the context where I live? So critical reading ability is actually a very, very high level processing ability, where the reader is able to use all other sub skills to examine, evaluate, interpret and respond to any text. About critical reading, I would say a good reader has his eyes wide open for subtle nuances of meaning, for implications that lurk behind the words, and for the author's motive. So when you are reading, you critically try to examine actually writer क्या कहना चाहता है, what does he or she actually mean. A good critical reader also tends to know what inference is suggested by the tone, choice of words and style of the author, and ultimately he or she judges the accuracy of the writer's conclusions. So through the tone, by judging the tone of the writer critically, a reader can judge whether the writer is being satirical, or he is presenting something in a humorous way, in a witty way, or in any other way. And finally, the reader with critical reading ability would be able to evaluate and judge the conclusions of the writer by looking at them critically, how far they are accurate or not. So it is more a cognitive process, it is a more developed thinking process. My dear students, moving towards the conclusion of the current session, I would say, despite the ever-increasing flood of printed material, it is a fact that the mystery of printed word or printed paper is solved properly and efficiently by a few only. Majority consists of non-readers. अगर हम अपने context में देखते हैं, in Pakistani context, तो पढ़ने का शौक थोड़ा ज़रा कम ही होता है, और those who read, to them most of the time reading is boring, laborious and undesirable. And if you allow me, I'd like to say, in case of students, when it comes to academic reading, most of the time students find it boring, laborious and undesirable. However, with the help of reading sub-skills as tools, the reader can make a reading task far more enjoyable and far more interesting for himself or herself. Efficient and top-flight readers are not born, they are made. And into making of a good reader goes not only a lot of persistence, sincerity and willingness, but also the development of certain reading habits or sub-skills. An efficient reader develops certain habits and acquires particular skills or sub-skills which he or she uses to suit his or her needs, and which he or she is able to adapt according to the nature and complexity of the printed material that is to be read. So, only knowing about these sub-skills or these this set of skills is not enough. To inculcate them as a habit consciously and then to apply them in your everyday reading is very important. In fact, interpretation of the idea of the author is dependent upon the acquisition of certain sub-skills and the establishing of desirable habits on the part of the reader. Whatsoever the writer writes, much of its interpretation depends upon the reader. The writer would not be successful in conveying what he or she wants to convey if the reader is not able to unfold, to unpack or to explore the text fully with a good set of reading sub-skills. These sub-skills and good reading habits make reading more rewarding, meaningful and of course enjoyable. Dear students, with this we come to the end of the current session. Summary of the lesson that we had today is given as follows. We started from 6th sub-skill that was given in the list that I shared with you in the previous session as well and at the outset of today's session as well. I took you through recognition of punctuation to skimming and scanning. I did not go much into the details of punctuation because we are going to have a separate session on the use of punctuation when it comes to using punctuation in writing. I introduced skimming and scanning. I shared with you that these two sub-skills are not only interrelated but also they are very, very important in time saving and in being speedy, efficient readers. Skimming means getting the main idea, the overall idea of what the text is about by casting a cursory glance at the text in a planned way. However, scanning is different from skimming, and scanning means identifying and finding out particular needed information from the text, which may be in the form of dates, names, places, events, etc. I talked about the efficient use of memory and asserted that efficient use of memory much depends on practice. So the conclusion I drew for the efficient use of memory is that we can improve our memory with the help of practice, and if we are conscious that we try to retain as readers only selected information, then our memory is more efficient to retain that. I also introduced you to the ideas of the expansion of eye span and avoidance of regressions. I shared how a common reader has a certain span of catching 1 or 2 words at a time, but an efficient reader with the help of some practice can have a grasp over more than one word or on a group of words at a time, which not only saves time but also makes reading a far smooth sailing through the pages, and it helps you to be speedy in your reading, of course. With the help of some diagrams or pictures, I tried to show you what does it mean when I say regressions in the movement of eye on the page, and I asserted the point that avoidance of these regressions helps speedy and efficient reading. In today's lesson, finger pointing and subvocalization as bad habits were also pointed out, and how by removing them we can have better and efficient reading habits was also discussed. The last two sub-skills that I discussed with reference to reading were reviewing and critical reading. Reviewing is summing up or looking back at what has been done, as right now I am doing for you for this lesson, whereas critical reading involves the critical and cognitive abilities of a reader to give meanings, to rather I would say reconstruct the meanings of the text in the light of the background knowledge, in the context of in the rather socio-cultural and linguistic context of the text where it is to be interpreted, and by using certain sub-skills and strategies for efficient and effective reading. With this, we come to the end of today's session. Thank you very much.